let's get into the other one that had a couple of meaningful games in it this weekend. Chase, I'm going to make you do it. Why? Why does this always happen to the Longhorns? Why cannot we just have nice things one time?
Pimp down, pimp
Why does Vandy
down,
have to do it? Pimp down.
pimp down. Oh, Vandy, why? Why? Why would you choose to make this your worst game of the season, dude? How do you let a team that was hemorrhaging against Kentucky and Mississippi State went to struggling in overtime against both those teams, and you got mollywopped to reintroduce that word? Yes, I know the score at the end was 34-31. It shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
They got destroyed by Arch Manning, who had a Heisman caliber game in that game. He did. I don't know what happened with Vandy's defense in that
His
game.
QBR on the year, even in spite of that game, is still 54, by the way.
Yeah. Dude, that was Arch's best game of the year. That was Vandy's worst game of the year. It doesn't make any sense to me. It pisses me off that Texas, how did they keep getting away with this? Jesse Pinkman would lose his shit about Texas right now. He can't keep getting away with this. They should have been out weeks ago when Oklahoma played them, and then Oklahoma choked. Then Kentucky had them on the ropes, and they choked. And then Mississippi State had them on the ropes by 17 in the fourth quarter, and they choked. And then Vandy didn't even put up a fight. And now, what's the worst part is now you have all these delusional fans coming back out of the woodworks thinking they're going to beat Georgia and Texas A&M and make it to the fucking playoffs. Thanks a lot, Commodores. Georgia, end this. You need to end this for good.
That was like the worst start I've ever seen. Ever. It was like 17-0 with in like 5 minutes of gameplay. It was nuts. Man, credit to Texas though. I hate to say it, but they're resilient, man. They lost 2 games and they just said, nah, we can't do this. We're freaking Texas. And credit to them, man. They found ways. They have found ways.
Ways.
With all their talent,
it would be insane if they beat Georgia and Texas A&M. But I mean, at this point, we can't call it impossible, can we?
They're climbing the top 10 like by clawing and scratching their way through. And I mean, climbing the top 10 as in the opponents that they're playing. They played 9 Vandy, 5 Georgia, and 3 A&M. I mean, and with an Arkansas team that here, I would sing Arkansas's praises if the one game that Arkansas managed to close out all year long, they've lost like 8 losses by what combined like 22 points or something, just so tragic. If the one time they could pull it off would be to go into Austin and pull off the win and make Talon Green world famous. But I don't know, man. Georgia though has had their number. They had their number twice last year. It's a bye week to prep for Georgia going into Athens, and I feel like Georgia does not feel, even at number 5, I feel like nobody's really talking about Georgia right now.
There's some cracks, that's why.
There are. I mean, obviously there's cracks. I mean, they couldn't get anything done against Alabama at home. They were losing bad to Ole Miss for most of that game until Ole Miss just blew it, because that's what Ole Miss does. And Georgia cannot overlook Mississippi State this weekend by any means. They've got to be very careful going into Starkville, but especially they cannot look past them into next week against Texas. But Georgia is I think feeling mighty disrespected right now, because there's just no hype about them in spite of their ranking and their record. So we'll see. But Texas, why?
Georgia doesn't.
Why does it have to be like
Georgia?
If you want to make a Texas fan mad, you mention to them how Oklahoma is ranked above them for some idiotic reason.
The
heads don't matter, guys.
I have a feeling that's going to change once the CFB poll comes
To
out.
be fair, you don't even have to mention Texas or anything to get them mad, so it doesn't take much. We have a whole video about A&M, and somehow a Texas fan came in and was just like, "This upsets me. This upsets
I'm
me."
pretty sure that there were triggered Texas fans when we were talking about UCLA versus UNLV back in the day.
Yeah.
Like,
Why aren't you
somewhere
talking about
there,
Texas this week?
they find a way. Yeah.